Imagine you hold the key to complete freedom, a life where no one else's opinion controls you, where you don't fear rejection, and where your inner peace is unshakable. But in the world around you, people are constantly trying to influence your decisions, distract you, and pull you away from your true path. How would you handle that pressure? This is the wisdom Buddha offers us. A path to rise above external noise and unlock your full power by focusing only on yourself. Today, we'll reveal 10 powerful Buddhist lessons that show you how to let go of others' opinions and take control of your life. 1. Stop relying on others for your happiness. As the Buddha once said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. This means that true happiness doesn't come from what others say or do. It comes from inside us. When we depend on others for our happiness, whether it's through their approval, praise, or actions, we give them control over our emotions. This often leads to disappointment because no one can make us happy all the time. Buddhism teaches us to look inward for peace and contentment. This means learning to be comfortable with who we are, finding joy in the present moment, and practicing gratitude for what we already have. By practicing self-reliance, we build a strong foundation of inner peace that no one can take away from us. 2. Don't fear being alone. It's where you find true power. As the Buddha said, meditate, live purely, be quiet. Do your work with mastery. This teaches us that solitude isn't something to fear, it's actually a place of strength. When we spend time alone, we gain the space to truly understand ourselves, reflect on our thoughts, and grow emotionally and spiritually. Being alone allows us to meditate and focus on our personal growth without distractions. Instead of relying on the company of others for comfort or validation, we learn to be our own best companion. By embracing solitude, we find the inner power and wisdom that helps us navigate life with confidence and clarity. 3. Quit seeking approval from everyone. As Buddha said, you, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. This means that the approval you truly need is your own, not anyone else's. When we constantly seek validation from others, whether it's through compliments, praise, or acceptance, we lose sight of our own worth and let others control how we feel about ourselves. Buddhism teaches us that real confidence and happiness come from self-acceptance. You don't need to rely on the opinions of others to feel good about who you are. Instead, practice giving yourself the love, kindness, and validation you deserve. The more you approve of yourself, the less you'll depend on others for validation, freeing yourself from unnecessary stress and disappointment. 4. Don't let rejection break you. Rejection is a natural part of life, but it doesn't define your worth. It's easy to feel discouraged or inadequate when faced with rejection, but Buddhism teaches us to see it differently. Instead of seeing it as a failure, view it as an opportunity for growth and redirection. Sometimes rejection is just life's way of steering you towards something better. As the Buddha said, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. This reminds us that letting go with grace is key to finding peace. When you stop taking rejection personally, you free yourself from unnecessary pain and create room for new opportunities. Let go, move forward, and trust that rejection is just a stepping stone on your journey. 5. Stop fearing what others think of you. One of the biggest sources of anxiety is worrying about what others think of us. We often let the opinions of others shape our actions and feelings, but Buddhism teaches us that other people's judgments are more about them than about us. The only thing that truly matters is how you see yourself and your own actions. As the Buddha said, let none find fault with others. Let none see the omissions and commissions of others, but let one see one's own acts. done and undone. This reminds us to focus on our own journey and stop worrying about what others think. People's opinions are out of your control, and constantly fearing their judgment will only drain your energy. When you let go of this fear, you find freedom and peace in being authentically yourself. 6. Stop sacrificing your peace to please others. Many of us fall into the habit of trying to please everyone around us, whether it's at work, with friends, or even in our families. We bend over backwards to make others happy, often at the cost of our own peace and well-being. But in the end, no matter how hard you try, you can never fully satisfy everyone, and this constant effort to please others will only lead to exhaustion and stress. As the Buddha wisely taught, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. This reminds us that peace of mind is far more valuable than trying to meet everyone's expectations. Buddhism encourages us to act with compassion and kindness, but not at the expense of our own inner peace. There's a balance to be found. Help others, but don't let their needs overwhelm your life. It's okay to say no and set boundaries when necessary. When you prioritize your own peace, you're able to live more authentically and give from a place of strength rather than sacrifice. Remember, the more you focus on keeping your own mind calm and centered, the less you'll feel the need to constantly seek approval or please others. True contentment comes from within, and when you honor your own peace, you bring greater harmony to your life and relationships. 7. Focus on what you can control yourself. In life, we often get frustrated or upset because we try to control things that are completely out of our hands. We want people to act a certain way, situations to unfold exactly as we imagine, and outcomes to always align with our expectations. But one of the core teachings of Buddhism is that clinging to things beyond our control only causes suffering. The truth is, you cannot control how others behave, how they feel, or what they think. The only thing you truly have power over is yourself, your actions, your thoughts, and your reactions. As the Buddha said, rule your mind, or it will rule you. This simple yet profound teaching is a reminder that our minds are incredibly powerful. When we focus on mastering our own thoughts and emotions, we gain control over our lives. Instead of wasting energy trying to change others or control situations, shift that energy inward. Ask yourself, how can I react better? How can I improve myself? How can I find peace within, even when things outside of me are chaotic? By focusing on what you can control, your own mind, habits, and responses, you build resilience. External events, whether they are positive or negative, no longer have the power to disturb your inner peace. Imagine the freedom that comes when you no longer feel the need to control everything around you. The moment you accept that others' actions are not your responsibility, you reclaim your power. This mindset shift leads to a calmer, more contented life. You become less reactive and more intentional, making decisions from a place of inner stability rather than stress or anxiety. This is the path to true freedom and self-mastery, one where you can remain at peace, regardless of external circumstances. By focusing on your inner world, you create a life where outer chaos can't touch your calm. When you focus inward, you also stop relying on the unpredictable behavior of others to determine your happiness. You begin to recognize that the key to peace lies in your ability to maintain balance and mindfulness, no matter what's happening around you. Over time, you'll find that by working on yourself, you actually inspire those around you to change. Your calm becomes contagious. Others may begin to notice your strength and resilience, and it may even encourage them to reflect on their own actions. This practice is not about ignoring the world or becoming detached from others, but rather about realizing that your energy is best spent on what you can change, yourself. Once you master your own reactions and mindset, you will find that external challenges no longer shake your foundation, and that is where true power lies. 8. Realize that people are focused on their own lives. We often believe that people are constantly watching and judging us, but the reality is much simpler. Most people are far too absorbed in their own lives to focus on us. This realization can be incredibly freeing. The fear of judgment is one of the biggest reasons we hold back from being our authentic selves. Sometimes, whether it's worrying about how we dress, speak, or act, we assume others are scrutinizing every detail. But Buddhism teaches us to let go of this unnecessary burden and live more freely. As the Buddha taught, your work is to discover your world, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. This reminds us that we each have our own unique journey to follow. People are primarily concerned with their own problems, goals, and dreams. Instead of worrying about what others might think of you, focus on discovering your path and living it fully. When you realize that people are not thinking about you as much as you believe, it lifts a huge weight off your shoulders. You no longer have to waste energy trying to live up to others' expectations, and instead, you can redirect that energy into becoming the best version of yourself. Consider how often you worry about what others think, compared to how much time you spend thinking about your own challenges and goals. The truth is, just like you, most people are preoccupied with their own lives. They have their own dreams, insecurities, and worries to deal with, leaving little time to focus on you. This understanding gives you the freedom to be authentic, make decisions that feel right for you, and pursue your passions without the constant pressure of outside judgment. Buddhism teaches the concept of non-attachment, not just to material things, but also to the opinions of others. When you release yourself from the need for external approval, you allow yourself to live more authentically. Instead of living in fear of others' thoughts, focus on your own growth. This shift in mindset leads to greater confidence and inner peace because you are no longer a prisoner of other people's judgments. It's also important to understand that everyone is facing their own battles. Just as you may struggle with your own thoughts and emotions, others are dealing with their own issues. Recognizing this helps build empathy and understanding, making it easier to let go of the fear of judgment. People aren't judging you because they are too busy navigating their own struggles. By focusing less on what others think and more on your personal development, you'll start to notice a sense of freedom that wasn't there before. You'll feel lighter, more empowered, and more in control of your own destiny. It's a powerful realization that you don't need to worry about how others perceive you, because they are simply too caught up in their own world. Living authentically and without fear of judgment is a key to unlocking your true potential. You'll take more risks, pursue the things that truly bring you joy, and live with a greater sense of purpose. Remember, the world is far too vast and life is too short to live in the shadows of what others may or may not be thinking. Focus on discovering and fulfilling your own purpose with full dedication. By letting go of the constant need for validation and the fear of judgment, you create a mental and emotional space for self-discovery. This practice leads to a stronger connection with yourself and a deeper understanding of what truly matters in your life. The less you worry about what others think, the more you can focus on what makes you feel fulfilled, peaceful, and content. 9. Don't get caught up in social comparison. One of the biggest traps in life is comparing yourself to others. Whether it's comparing your looks, your career, your success, or even your happiness, this habit leads to feelings of envy, inadequacy, and frustration. Buddhism teaches us that comparison is a form of attachment that leads to suffering. By constantly measuring yourself against others, you lose sight of your own unique path and the progress you've made on your journey. As the Buddha said, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. This reminds us that true wealth isn't found in having more than others or being better than others. It's found in contentment. When you are content with what you have and who you are, you experience inner peace. Social comparison, on the other hand, pushes you into a mindset of scarcity, always focusing on what you lack instead of appreciating what you already have. In today's world, social media has made it easier than ever to compare ourselves to others. We scroll through feeds full of pictures of perfect vacations, luxurious lifestyles, and success stories which can make us feel like we're falling behind. But what we often don't see is the reality behind those photos, the struggles, insecurities, and challenges others face. Everyone's journey is different, and comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel is a recipe for unhappiness. Buddhism teaches us the importance of living in the present moment and cultivating gratitude for our own lives. Instead of looking outward to others, turn inward and focus on your own growth. When you practice mindfulness and gratitude, you begin to notice the blessings in your own life and how far you've come. The more you appreciate what you have, the less you feel the need to compare yourself to others. Comparison often leads to a sense of competition, which can breed jealousy and resentment. In Buddhism, these emotions are seen as harmful because they cloud the mind and take us away from our path to peace. When you're constantly competing with others, you're never satisfied, and this mindset robs you of the joy that comes from living authentically. Recognize that everyone's path is different, and the success of others does not diminish your own progress or potential. A key Buddhist concept is the idea of right livelihood, which encourages living in a way that brings harmony and balance. Part of this balance is accepting that your life doesn't need to look like someone else's for it to be fulfilling. When you stop comparing yourself to others and focus on living according to your own values and goals, you begin to experience true contentment. Your self-worth no longer depends on external standards or achievements, but instead is rooted in inner peace and self-acceptance. Social comparison can distract you from what truly matters. You may start to chase goals or possessions that don't align with your true desires simply because you see others doing it. But Buddhism reminds us that true happiness comes not from external achievements, but from understanding and following our own unique path. Chasing what others have can lead you away from what is truly meaningful in your life. By practicing non-attachment, you can break free from the cycle of comparison. This doesn't mean you shouldn't have goals or strive for success. Rather, it means recognizing that your value is not dependent on outperforming others. Your value comes from being true to yourself and your journey. When you realize this, you free yourself from the pressure to constantly measure up to others and instead focus on what brings you genuine joy and fulfillment. Another aspect to consider is how comparison steals your time and energy. The time you spend thinking about someone else's achievements or lifestyle is time you could use to work on your own growth and well-being. Instead of envying someone else's success, ask yourself how you can improve your own life in ways that are meaningful to you. When you focus on your own progress, you'll begin to see how much you've grown and what you're capable of achieving, which builds confidence and self-respect. Remember that life is not a race. Each of us has our own timing, challenges, and lessons to learn. What matters is not how you compare to others, but how true you are to your own path. When you stop comparing and start focusing on your own journey, you will find a sense of peace and fulfillment that no external achievement can provide. 10. Prioritize your inner growth over external validation. In today's world, many of us are conditioned to seek external validation. Whether it's approval from family, recognition from colleagues, or likes and comments on social media, we often look to others to feel good about ourselves. But Buddhism teaches us that true peace and fulfillment come from within. The more we chase external validation, the more we move away from our true selves. Our self-worth becomes dependent on how others see us, which creates a cycle of dissatisfaction and insecurity. As the Buddha wisely said, "The mind is everything. What you think you become." This quote emphasizes the power of your inner world. If you focus on your own growth, mindset, and self-awareness, you become stronger and more at peace. On the other hand, if your thoughts are constantly seeking external approval, you become trapped by the opinions of others. In Buddhism, the path to enlightenment is rooted in self-awareness, mindfulness, and inner transformation. By focusing on your inner growth, you can cultivate a sense of fulfillment that no amount of external validation can provide. The need for external validation is often connected to our ego, the part of us that longs for attention, praise, and status. But the ego is never truly satisfied. No matter how much approval we receive from others, it will always crave more. This turns into a never-ending chase that eventually leaves us feeling empty. Buddhism teaches us to rise above the ego by looking within and finding fulfillment through self-awareness, mindfulness, and kindness. The more you concentrate on inner growth, the less control the ego has over you. When you give importance to your inner growth, you begin to realize that your value isn't defined by how others see you. Instead, it's shaped by your own values, honesty, and personal growth. You start measuring success not by outside achievements, but by how much you've grown inside. Are you more patient, more kind, more aware than you were yesterday? These are the real signs of progress, and they come from within. External validation, however, doesn't last. It can fade as fast as it appears, leaving you searching again for the next form of approval. Focusing on inner growth also helps you build resilience. When your self-worth depends on external approval, you become sensitive to the opinions and judgments of others. Just one criticism or rejection can shake your confidence. But when your sense of self comes from your own personal growth, you become stronger in facing life's challenges. You understand who you are, and you don't need others to define your value. This kind of inner strength is one of the best rewards of putting your own growth first. Choosing inner growth over seeking outside approval brings a more peaceful and genuine life. When you stop worrying about others' opinions, you allow yourself the freedom to live by your own values and dreams. You no longer feel forced to meet someone else's expectations or follow society's standards. Instead, you live a life that's true to yourself. This honesty not only brings inner peace, but also helps you build deeper and more meaningful connections with others. People are naturally drawn to those who are confident in who they are and who live with honesty. One of the main teachings in Buddhism is the idea of impermanence, the belief that everything in life is temporary and always changing. This includes external approval. The praise and recognition you get from others today might disappear tomorrow. Running after something so uncertain will only bring stress and frustration. Inner growth, on the other hand, is something that no one can take from you. The wisdom, self-understanding, and emotional strength you gain through personal growth are lasting and will support you throughout your life. Another key Buddhist idea is equanimity, which means staying mentally calm and emotionally steady no matter what's happening around you. When you focus on growing from within, you start to develop this calmness. You become less affected by both praise and criticism because your self-worth is no longer based on other people's opinions. Instead, it's rooted in your own inner peace and self-awareness. This emotional steadiness helps you handle life's ups and downs with confidence and grace. Focusing on inner growth doesn't mean you ignore the outside world or the people in it. It means you understand that the most important work starts within you. When you make personal growth a priority, you also become a better friend, partner, and member of your community. You show up with more kindness, patience, and wisdom in your relationships, and you encourage others to grow too. Inner growth is not a selfish goal. It's the base for a more peaceful and meaningful life, for you and for those around you. When you put inner growth first, you open the way to real happiness. External approval might give short-term pleasure, but it doesn't last and depends on others. Inner growth, however, brings deep and lasting joy because it comes from your own effort and self-understanding. You no longer need others' opinions to feel good about yourself, and that kind of freedom is truly powerful. The moment you stop worrying about what others think, you begin to unlock your true strength and live a life full of self-empowerment. Let go of outside expectations and start focusing on your personal journey. Always remember, real power starts from within. Thanks for watching. If you found these lessons helpful, feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more insights.